It's 5 a.m. on the west coast of the United States, and that means it's time for another day of Dota 2 Super League action. This one's going to be between two of our undefeated teams, Rising Stars versus DK, a best of three about to get underway.
Yeah, we're here in Group B. We've had the Group A summed up, where Tong Fu surprisingly took first place, but Group B, things are just sort of getting started a bit here. We've seen DK as well as Rising Stars, both teams playing today. They're currently undefeated. Undefeated is just one win, though.
Yeah, it's 1-0 for both teams, but winner of this will suddenly be 2-0. They'll also knock that other team down a little bit, a peg or two, and it doesn't guarantee them first place by any means, but it gives them the inside track and a more comfortable path from there on out.
Yeah, absolutely. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in at 5 a.m. for those of you on the West Coast, of course.
Probably not many of them, but we appreciate every single one of you a little bit more. It is very late here.
Yeah, but here we can see DK being introduced on the Chinese stream. They're going to be up against Rising Stars. DK, a team who have been running a lot of this sort of tri-core. It's no longer 4-protect-1. They're running a lot of 3-carry lineups. Sometimes there's solo mid for super is not really a sort of carry or semi-carry. Maybe it's something like the Kunkka, but all in all, they're a team who are no longer just basing everything around burning, getting 5 or 6 slotted in.
I mean, at the same time, there's always that potential for them to come out and run the 4-protect-1 as a pocket strategy, as a closer. I feel like that's where we're most likely to see it. If DK, they just really need a win, and they feel like that sort of strategy isn't working against Rising Stars, maybe they ban out heroes like the Wisp that can disrupt their tempo, that discourage the split push, get Bernie the anti-mage, even the Gyrocopter in a 4-protect-1, and just take it late game.
Yeah, absolutely. As for Rising Stars, they're an unpredictable bunch, I would say. Not quite like on the Rattlesnake level of unpredictable, but they generally go for they're one of the few teams who do still go for a hard carry every now and then for Zaltuzi. They'll pick up something like an Alchemist, an Anti-Mage. They're also a team who will pull out the Wisp, a hero likely to be seen banned here, but they'll mix things up a bit.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's also, we haven't mentioned yet, but this is 6.78 God, so we're looking at a totally new version, a lot of changes to heroes that we've seen a lot of. Obviously, Lone Druid got some big nerfs with Armlet no longer really working properly on, well, it's working properly now, how Ice Frog intended it, but no longer as strong as it used to be. And even heroes like Lifestealer, smaller nerfs perhaps, but could be significant. Open Wounds, I think it's 200 range or 250 range level 1 for initiation. So some of our classic, iconic 6.77 heroes, maybe they slip off. Maybe this is where DK Rising Stars especially start to experiment.
I feel like some of DK's picks actually maybe favor the way that some of the version changed. I don't think they were overly reliant on a lot of these heroes who have been nerfed quite heavily. I think that sort of applies to maybe some of the other teams. I think DK will do just fine here. If anything, they'll get helped out by some of the heroes that actually have been buffed up. So we'll see some of the 6.78 changes. We don't know a whole lot about them. We've been too busy taking holidays in the Caribbean.
It's a lot to process, I think, for the players, the casters, everybody. It was a big balance change to not just a few heroes, but pretty much everyone. Then you see heroes like Bloodseeker, who I don't know that we'll see him picked, but got just a ridiculous buttload of nerfs. I mean, anything really is possible. And you look at Rising Stars, a team that maybe is a bit outclassed by DK in terms of individual skill, in terms of teamwork. Maybe this is where they pull one of those new heroes out. We've seen a lot of Bristleback play as of late. We've seen Treant in the West, I mean, which we saw in 6.77, but we've seen teams experimenting, and who knows, maybe we'll see it here today as well.
Yeah, this is kind of, well, it's sort of a place to experiment, but at the same time, you've got to be careful because they want to be going into the playoffs. This is $165,000, $1 million RMB, so it's a lot of money up for grabs here. You don't want to be going too risky. It's a best of 3 though, so if one team gets up a 1-game advantage, especially DK, who probably feel confident that they're the favorites going in, quite likely come game 2 they say, okay, let's try out this new pick, let's see how it works in an actual competitive environment.
With that being said, guys, game 1 now underway. We're going to hop ourselves into the draft and see exactly what these teams are doing. DK versus Rising Stars. Well, as soon as I give Jarrett the screen, here we go.
There we go.
Into the draft we'll jump in just a few seconds, and well, gods, the bans pretty standard. What we were seeing in 6.77, so really no changes here yet.
Yeah, no major changes here, as we do see Darkseer early pick from DK. They actually grabbed the Alchemist himself. This is a hero that both these two teams have been using, normally in that one position, although never really a hard carry with DK. They can run a multitude of sort of ways to combine it. Dragon Knight with the Visage. Dragon Knight's a hero I think is just really going to be seeing a lot of play over the next couple of weeks. He's so strong. He's sort of that solo mid. I guess the Bottle Crow nerf is actually going to hurt him as much as it hurts a hero like Mag, because you are reliant on that against a Queen of Pain or a Puck mid, but I think he's a hero who's really strong in the current metagame.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's where it slightly favors a hero like Darkseer, who's a little bit better at pushing out the waves, has the more spammable spell if he does go mid. Now for DK, they've picked up the Alchemist, but we've seen this team, I believe Supers run it mid before.
Yeah.
A lot of the Chinese teams, they go for that utility Alchemist. They'll go send a mid, build the early mech, get a medallion in some cases, and won't be your one position carry. We've also seen DK run this as a hard carry in the safe lane. I think we saw that most notably back during the G1 League qualifiers where Burning, it looked like DK were on the ropes in that one game, and then just they came back, he farmed his way to victory, had the Basher, the Abyssal Blade, the Assault Cuirass, and just was out carrying a lone Druid and a Lifestealer, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I think with the Darkseer here, it sort of more almost leans towards having that one position Alchemist, just because Darkseer is your natural mech buyer. He fits a similar role to a solo mid Alchemist as that utility, just tanky teamfight based hero who can get the mech, the pipe, all these other good items. But you could easily run Darkseer offlane Alchemist mid. As for RisingStars, they've got the Visage support, and this hero has really risen to fame late. We've seen it had some great success in the TI3 Eastern qualifiers, and even here in the Dota 2 Super League.
As far as I can recall, I don't think there were any major changes to him in the most recent patch, so Visage is as strong as he was, hasn't really been significantly affected, and we'll see if other heroes rising in strength and other heroes dropping affects his overall success. But we now look at the bans gods and heading into the second stage, RisingStars showing some respect towards QQQ's jungle play. They're going to ban out the Enchantress, the Chen, and it is the new draft format as well, so you only get 2 bans for the second stage, then you move into another set of 2 picks for each team.
Yeah, that was confusing the hell out of me for a second.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
I'm like, wait a second, they're banning heroes and having 3rd pick. I'm like, okay, that's right.
Calm down, gods. It's okay.
I'm not drunk. So yeah, one pick back and forth for the two teams now. RisingStars pick 1, DK pick 1, and then RisingStars pick another. This is sort of, I guess, balance out that first pick advantage. Looking at the win percentages, it was, I think, like 50.45% win rate for first pick. It was something very, very marginally better as far as stats go, but most teams would always choose to have that first pick. Most teams agree that it was the stronger position to be in.
I mean, it's also just a psychological comfort as much as anything, where maybe you just prefer to be able to control the flow of the draft and having first pick. That's certainly a way to do it. RisingStars, what are they going to go for now? They've started with a Visage, a Dragon Knight. This gives them the obvious solo mid and the DK, a very strong component of an offensive Triline and a Visage, if they want to run it. Now, the one issue is if you run an aggressive Triline with Visage, you open up Darkseer to probably get a 1v1 in the off lane. And we've seen in the past when you do that, gets an early mech, gets the early utility items, can't be shut down, and then poses a real problem in the head-on engagements later on.
Yeah, the Lone Druid probably the one hero left in the pool who you could send safe lane in that 1v1 matchup, but they're going to grab a Keeper of the Light, so definitely the makings of an offensive Triline. Visage, Keeper of the Light, all they need is that sort of setup stun, the Initiator, which is going to be something like your Sven, perhaps?
DK, and well, they'll go for a hero that they've actually run quite a bit of in the Trilines. We've actually seen teams will ban Undying against DK if they want to go aggressive Trilane. And if they don't, if DK isn't looking like they want to Trilane, then they may ignore this hero entirely, but it has been a strategic occasional ban against DK. Well, it'll be slipping through this time.
Yeah, Undying Gyrocopter Trilane is going to be something very scary for RisingStars to go offensive Trilane against, even if they get a strong hero to round off their Trilane, which to me, the only one really left is something like a Sven. But I feel like going up against Undying Gyrocopter is going to be too risky. So maybe they decide, okay, let's pick up a PL. Coddle PL, let's go.
Well, we'll see. They have the Dragon Knight. They have a hero who's pretty durable solo mid. Doesn't need a whole lot of assistance. With the Bottle Crow changes, I would say maybe a bit more. But he'll be up against an Alchemist, it looks like. And Alchemist DK, pretty even matchup overall.
Yeah, I think it is pretty even matchup. And as far as his last pick goes, DK need another support. Maybe even look towards the newly buffed Crystal Maiden.
Oh, yeah. We're actually having a lot of Theorycraft discussion at our, well, I would say almost dinner yesterday. It's been such a long night already. But about how she can actually jungle a bit more efficiently now just because she's got the additional mana from coming out from her passive. So you can use Frostbite on creep, still have mana when you're going to gank later on.
And DK was like the only team who had faith in Crystal Maiden. This was pre-buffs. They were running that CM Undying. If there's any time to continue
30% win rate, be damned. They were still running it, and they were making it work.
They were making it work. Sven does get picked up by RisingStars. Not surprised at all. This is the only hero left for them to pick up if they want this offensive Trilane, which it looks like it is what they want to do.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, we'll see where they go from here. They've got a lot of armor, decent AoE. We've seen teams take Sven, Dragon Knight +1 late as a strong Tricore and make it work. Now, for DK, like you mentioned, need another support. Rubik is still in the pool. Is this a game where you want to go for someone like that?
For DK?
Yeah.
It's an okay support. I think you want something which is a bit more early game fight centric because of the Sven.
A little more firepower.
Yeah, which is where Crystal Maiden is actually nice. All you need is that fast level 2, and then you have Frostbite and Frost Nova. Frost Nova, great in Trilane versus Trilane. Does make a nice little addition here. Last man onto the puck, so It looks like DK are just banning out some of those solos. They should be looking at... I would have preferred something like a lone druid ban just because they have a DK, most likely solo mid. They need a safe lane solo. To me, that's probably not going to be something like a Puck.
And there have been some changes to Lone Druid as well. I mentioned the armlet changes, but the other big change is if his bear dies, the enemy team gets, or the killing blow accrues 300 gold, basically. So the bear's worth 300 gold. If it does die, that can really hurt the Lone Druid. If you give that away to, say, a Darkseer, which looks like it might be the likely matchup here, it could go a long way. At the same time, though, Lone Druid versus Darkseer 1v1, I feel your bear isn't that likely to die. It's more sort of affecting the off-lane play, where 2 or 3 heroes can gank the bear early and then get a lot of gold for their side.
Yeah, I feel Lone Druid's still very strong, and that's something which a lot of people are forgetting. There's your Crystal Maiden. DK, they've got faith. They believe in the CM.
Gods was you guys couldn't see off camera. Gods was picking up the red phone to China, letting DK know that they better pick CM or Lumi's going to be unhappy. So, RisingStars, what do they go for here? Lone Druid seems like sort of your obvious choice. Is there anyone else who matches up well against Darkseer? Because it seems like what we're looking at here.
Clockwork can do okay. This is also assuming they want to go offensive trial, which with Sven, Keeper Light, Visage, I'd be very shocked if they don't.
Because if you want to trade farm, I mean, Sven, you don't really want to trade farm with heroes like Alchemist and Gyro.
So I guess you could go DK safe lane against Darkseer, but again, not a great matchup. So Anti-Mage is a hero who can do okay in that 1v1 matchup. But then you have Anti-Mage, DK, Sven as your 3 cores, all melee, a bit kind of clunky. It can go okay, just not really ideal. They're going to go Doom, though.
Well, a little bit more of a Rattlesnake flavor, something that they have liked to run a lot, and I guess the one thing is he's not really that strong of a 1v1 solo. You can look to occasionally eat the Iron Shard creep, but it's got a long cooldown. Not a full solution, so are they going defensive trialing here?
I don't think so. This matchup, I think, like you say, Rattlesnake actually had a Doom solo against Darkseer one time in the Eastern qualifiers, I want to say.
If you get lucky, it can go well.
Yeah, he got the Satyr creep at level 1, which is a lot of HP regen. And even with that, he broke even on farm. And that was with, I know AUI was here saying he didn't think the Darkseer played it as well as he could. He didn't creep skip, he didn't pull the creep wave to the neutral camp, so I think it's a matchup which Darkseer does win, but Doom can at least hold his own, get XP, get farm. He's not going to be free farming and winning the lane, but it's like just let's break even. You're up against a Darkseer, you're not expected to win the lane. They've
picked 3 melee cores. Dragon Knight occasionally can be in ranged form, but generally is a melee hero in the early to mid game. Up against Darkseer, up against Gyrocopter. That's a lot of AoE, that's a lot of lockdown. Well, it's a bold move. If they have a slow start in this laning stage, it does feel like DK has the firepower to just run them over. But guys, it's been a long draft. Now let's jump into the game. DK versus RisingStars. This one a best of 3. Both teams 1-0 in Group B for the Dota 2 Super League. $165,000 approximately in prize money to be handed out over the course of this season. The biggest tournament outside of the International 3. On the Dire side, we have Team DK, a legendary old school squad of veterans. Burning going to be playing that Gyrocopter. Die, or MMY, as he's now known, on the support on Dyna hero. He's quite known for playing QQQ, handling the Crystal Maiden. We'll have Super taking the reins for that solo mid Alchemist. And last but not least, looks like it will be ROTK handling the Darkseer.
Well, for the Radiant team, it's Team RisingStars, who's already caused one upset here in the Dota 2 Super. We've got Xiao Tuji playing the solo bottom Doombringer. He's been pulled some regen to help him out. Mid lane, we've got Air playing the Dragon Knight. Then we have our offensive trial made up of XDD playing the Sven, Mofi playing the Visage, and then we have Super's evil counterpart. It's Super as well, playing the Keeper of the Light.
This is the other Super, guys. This is the
lowercase
the
Super.
Challenger.
He's got the lowercase S. DK has the uppercase S.
He's the challenger.
With an exclamation mark. So
absolutely.
He's already got him beat psychologically.
Well, we'll see about that. He's the young whippersnapper, and then, of course, capitals S Super is the veteran. The wily veteran. Let's see what he can do, and let's see who's going to prevail. Will it be your Usurper? Will it be your old school veteran? We'll have a Dragon Knight solo mid versus Alchemist. That's a pretty even matchup for the most part. I think we've seen Alch tends to have a slight edge, at least historically, but it's just looking at the hero matchup pretty even. It's going to be an aggressive trialing from DK against a solo Doom who has not found a creep at level 1. There's a lot of wards around the lane as well as his jungle. He's going to be starting this lane with Devour, but with no creep, and that could be an absolute disaster for him.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit surprised DK went offensive trialing, deciding to avoid the... To me, this is them dodging the trial versus trialing, probably because... Not because they deciding our trialing's going to lose, let's dodge it, but probably because they think they can win this lane against Doom. They're going to get some early harass off here, and they're probably just saying, okay, Darkseer at top, he'll do okay-ish, whereas Doom is going to have nothing at bottom. He's going to be forced to maybe jungle, which I guess for Doom doesn't really matter too much.
Well, if he gets caught, it could matter a lot. He's trying to find a creep, and they're just not going to let him have it. So, I mean, guys, it looks like to me they're just saying you won't get access to that Satyr early on. You won't even get a Centaur. We're going to zone you out as hard as possible. They are devoting 3 heroes to do it, though.
He should just wrap around, get this big camp on the far left.
Top lane, RTK could be in trouble. This could be our first blood. It will be. Look, it brought him down with early point Soul Assumption, no Grave Chill. Stormbolt into Illuminate, I imagine, was the initiation there. And they find a first blood off the bat on the safe lane Darkseer.
Yeah, that's the one thing which DK were not taking into consideration there. They're like, okay, let's do Darkseer safe lane. He's just going to stay alive, which he hasn't done. We're a minute in, and he's already let down the team.
To be fair, this tri-lane from RisingStars is very strong in a 3v1. They have that one setup stun you need to make Illuminate hit. Soul Assumption, the huge follow-up burst on top of it. Well executed by them, and well, for RisingStars, Doom getting zoned out a bit, but he's still eating a Centaur. He's gotten half a level. Not quite as much as what RTK will be getting if he's jungling, but are the trades there? I guess that's the big question.
Well, I think for DK, super at mid against the DK has a slight edge just because of the Bottle Crow nerf. DK a bit more dependent on the Bottle Crow, whereas Alchemist, well, has easier access to rune just because Acid Spray can push out the lane more. But DK looks like he's going to guess on the rune, and unfortunately for him, it spawns bottom, which means Super, he's going to be grabbing that one.
Yeah, Super already had with a significant lead in the lane. Of course, he's not going for Greevil's Greed. If you're from the Western Sea, you might be used to that, but bottom lane, Xiao2G copying a lot of damage. Crystal Maiden, 1 creep from level 2. If she was level 2, that's an easy kill here to match the early kill. And tanking some tower shots. QQQ will be forced back. Now burning tanking the tower.
Rotation, Hasted Alchemist coming in from behind now. This looks like a dead Xiao2G. Plenty of stun duration there.
Look at the damage on that stun. That was like 300 damage instantaneously, or at least it felt that way. Easy kill.
Easy kill indeed. And top lane, it looks like RTK sort of stabilized. He's got himself up to level 3. Even with a death like that, the thing is, it obviously sucks because you give away first blood, but he's got XP. That's what mostly matters for him, whereas Doom, he's still level 1. Yeah, Xiao2G's still level 1, and he can rotate back into the jungle now. If he gets the right creep, something like a Wildkin or this Dark Troll Warlord, which is there, you can actually jungle with the Dark Troll Warlord pretty effectively. The Wildkin is maybe a bit better if you're allowed to stack and then farm a huge stack, but it's also risky in case they come in and steal it. So I think Xiao2G will be happy with this creep. We'll get something out of the lane. They've rotated Super down to the bottom lane, but I'm not sure if he'll have much better luck. There is still a lane ward. He's going to get caught tango through the trees by QQQ. Catching Super out. The barrage flies through. Barely even has a chance to get it off because QQQ snags the kill there. He will now hit level 2 and be close to level 3, and nobody can seem to handle this aggressive tri-lane from DK. CM, new metagame. It's coming.
Well,
QQQ, DK, they believe in it.
To be fair, Doom maybe not the strongest 1v3 hero in the game.
No, not by any means here. I would be more interested to see a tri-lane versus tri-lane at top just to see how the CM matches up there and how things go down. But DK chose otherwise, and so far it's worked out fine for them. So even though they give away the first blood, they're still ahead here.
The other big thing that happens when they make that rotation bottom is RTK gets a lot of space he wasn't having top before. We actually saw he was forced to farm the jungle. He was worried about getting blown up at level 2 very quickly. Now he's level 4. He's starting to find some levels. He can start pushing out this lane, and RisingStars, with no Keeper of the Light here, can't keep the lane pushed into the tower, which means then RTK can go jungle, he can go pull. It's going to be hard for RisingStars to continue to contest. Well, the camp is warded, so he can't pull yet, but if he gets that dewarded, he'll be able to.
Yeah, he can look to do so soon. Meanwhile, mid lane, Air is sort of stabilizing his CS. He's sort of on par with the Alchemist now. Alchemist, once again, going to find a rune, though. So this Alchemist having these, not so much getting lucky, this is just CM protecting them, finding them out. Unless that spawn top, Alchemist was going to get that guaranteed.
And for the time being, both teams settle into a very defensive rhythm. QQQ is going to scout out Xiao2G, but Xiao2G's got access to Shockwave. He's also feeling pretty manly here. He already has a point. Scorched Earth. Is he going to go? Alchemist comes in with the double damage stun. And look at the HP bar just disintegrate.
Yeah.
That Solomon Alchemist, he's getting a little bit lucky with the runes just in terms of what runes they are and where the rotations are coming in. But end of the day, we are seeing the power of Solomon Alchemist. He is quite a potent ganker if you have heroes caught out of position.
And going for a slightly different build to what we've seen in the past. He's rushing the phase boots here, which is going to help him a lot get those stuns off. And he looks to be active roaming around the map, so why not? He's actually maxing the stun over Acid Spray, which is not always what you see as well.
So we now look at RTK. He's 1v1 against XDD, and you leave this Darkseer alone, he's going to start winning the lane against Sven. They've rotated Mofi in mid. They need to get a kill here. If they don't get a kill quickly, I mean, Sven, you sack him off lane against Darkseer, he's not going to farm very well. And, I mean, he's going to constantly need to buy HP regen items. He can't really handle this matchup 1v1. But they can't find the kill mid on Super, so RisingStars supports. We saw the teleport from bottom for Keeper of the Light just lead to a death for him, and now a lot of wasted time for Vis. It seems like they don't really have a clear sort of approach here to stabilize this laning stage.
I don't like how they've left Sven alone top, because Sven's really their only way of actually getting kills here in the early game. This strong trial of theirs was all built around Sven being there. As soon as the supports leave, the supports can't get any kills because they go bomb with the Doom, they're not getting kills. They go mid, they're not getting kills. There's nowhere for them to actually set up these kills.
XDD attempts a pretty clutch body block, can't quite get it off, and in the end it won't be there. Now top lane, there's a Haster, and Super will barely get the stun off. If Air had been able to get out of range, could have allowed Super to stun himself and then turned around and gotten the kill. It won't be the case though. Haster now picked up by Air. He'll head towards the top lane, and well, what can he make happen? RTK is going to be his normal aggressive self. He'll post up towards the tower. He's got a surge. He'll activate it now, and is that DK going to find him in time? Air? No, he won't. He is in, of course, a melee form. Has to get very close to stun. In the end, won't succeed, and just musical lanes. QQQ continuously checking the runes, rotating towards bottom, now coming back, or towards mid, now coming back towards bottom, and, well, it's a jungle doom. I don't think this is what RisingStars had in mind.
No, they had in mind a dominant tri lane and farming solo heroes, and they just don't have any dominant lanes now. Keeper like Visage are picked up so that you can dominate the laning stage, but when you have these lane switching, and these two heroes have to stick with the Sven. If they're not doing that, they're not getting these kills. And at the moment, I think they realize they're just falling behind too much on farm, that they just have to play a more farming game and accept the fact they're not going to get kills in the next 5 or so minutes.
The good news is Air started to really accelerate his farm. He's now actually leading the Alchemist 29-2. At one point, he was at 5-0, and Alchemist was at 11-3 or something along those lines. So he's really caught up in terms of farm. And now he'll start to pressure this mid tower a bit. Can auto-attack the tower, allow the Poison Breath to do its work, and slowly look to bring the tower down. But it will take a while. We'll see a smoke gank from DK. QQQ and die. They'll abandon that bottom lane. They're going to head towards mid. They have a level 3 Crystal Maiden, which means access to all the nukes, and Air could be in trouble here. Are they going to look to go in on him, or do they continue to wrap around? They'll throw out the Alchemist stun now, but it was a very long-range stun. Can they actually finish the job? They'll follow up with the Frostbite, and Nova as well, and Air dropping fast, but not out of the fight just yet. Teleport in for Mofi. The smoke gank is going to fail, and well, Super might die at this tower anyway, even without the supports here. Calldown's going to come in. Oh, kills the homie missile. I think actually the tower finishes it the last possible second.
Just saving him there. That was close. Meanwhile, mid lane, it was very close to getting the Dragon Knight. The TPM from Mofi, once again, you can see the weakness of RisingStars picking up these two support heroes. It's one of the strongest trial lanes they could have, but it's one of the two weakest supports they could have as far as rotating around the lanes and having sort of some versatility and helping out the rest of the team. Because they have no stuns, no good slows, they have Grave Chill, but it's nothing to rely on, so they can't actually combo with anyone apart from a carry or a solo with a stun, which is Sven. The other ones don't. DK with a range form stun could set something up, but it's just very lacking right now, and Undying finds a kill on the Sven, and with Sven going down this early on, this is really hurting RisingStars.
I mean, it's not just that their supports aren't good at roaming, it's also that DK's, especially just Crystal Maiden +1, is automatically a fantastic roaming combo. QQQ has been pretty effective everywhere he goes, even mid where they barely fail to get the DK kill. You see how close they came. You look at RisingStars and their attempted rotations and ganks. Hasn't felt like there's any pressure whatsoever. We'll see Super under cover of an invisibility rune. He'll head towards top. He's going to be looking for a kill on Mofi. Can he actually find the opening? Mofi is very far back. If he dies now, that will delay his familiars. Also allow them to get at least a tier 1, maybe a tier 2. And the other good news for DK, we haven't talked about burning at all. Funny to say that, but, well, we have it, Gods, and he's farming freely. 55 CS. Top lane, Super looks like he might be in trouble. No, in the end. With the 3 heroes rotating top, DK decides, we'll back off, we'll go back to farming.
Yeah, and this is the other big thing with the DK lamp is you mentioned the supports from RisingStars about it rotating. Their solos are as well, whereas DK, they have the CM, great at roaming, and the Alchemist with fast phase boots. He can roam around the map, quite easily guarantee himself getting stuns off. It's a lot harder for RisingStars to have any sort of counterpart for that. The Dragon Knight, the closest thing with a ranged stun, but again, he's not the most mobile of heroes. Alchemist with phase boots suddenly becomes very, very speedy.
Yeah, he really packs a punch as well, and we'll see where DK looks to go from here. But the beauty of having that support Alchemist is, well, not support, but utility Alchemist, they're also on the dire side. We'll actually see a smoke from RisingStars. Scratch that thought for the time being. They're going to start with Warcry here. Now the Dragon form activated. They get the Dragon Tail off, but not before Super pops his Chemical Rage. Will it matter? God Strength used as well. Jams it in with a Soul Assumption there. Rotation in from Crystal Maiden. Actually kind of lucky that they didn't decide to continue the chase, because Dragon Tail was coming off cooldown, but in the end, RisingStars, they'll play it safe. They get a kill, they force a TP, and they back off.
Yeah, they bring this Sven, and Sven's the only way they're actually sort of guaranteeing any of these kills here. So I think it's a really smart gank they just got, because they also get Visage up to level 6, so they now get the Visage Familiars into play, which is going to be a key spell to have for the next 5 or so minutes. It's a lot of extra burst damage if they have the damage on them, and the stuns can be very crucial.
I mean, you can use them to push out the lanes, you can stack jungle camps with the familiars, you can farm the jungle. It just opens up a lot of options for RisingStars, and you look at this lineup, they have a tri-core. They need quite a lot of levels and quite a lot of farm, and Super, well, he'll stun himself on the bottom lane, but no big deal there. So, guys, as we head towards the mid-game, we're looking at a 1,500 gold lead for DK, Illuminate going to splash through him burning, about a 1,500 experience lead. So how do you feel these two teams match up in terms of their composition as we head towards the mid-game? Does either team have a much better team fight, pushing? Where are their strengths and weaknesses?
I think RisingStars, this could be a lot worse for them. I think the fact they have a keeper like Visage gives them a really strong mid-game. Dragonite not too item-dependent for his mid-game play and Sven. Get your Treads drums up, and he can be doing quite a lot in these team fights. So for DK, they have to be careful. They're probably feeling like, hey, we've sort of limited their killing power, but they're actually not as far ahead as they could be.
Yeah, Crystal Maiden really doesn't scale that well. They'll surge in with RTK, but not able to get in range. Good reaction and good backstep from RisingStars. Bottom lane has been abandoned. They've actually rotated Burning to the top lane. He's now sitting on a decent chunk of gold and has the Ogre Club, so he'll be going for a BKB rush this game. And you look at what RisingStars have, nearly all magic damage. Later on, the Sven comes into play with a lot of physical auto attacks, but this, for the time being, will keep Burning rather safe in the team fights.
Yeah, to me, the big timing for DK is going to come where, while their golden XP lead isn't a lot, when they get this Darkseer mech up, they're suddenly going to be a lot stronger in these team fights. RisingStars have nothing similar. They've got a drum on the Doom, but mech is such a bigger team fight item.
Tombstone gets deployed. Dai's going to charge in. There is a homing missile hunting down Super. Can they get in range to secure the kill? It's going to be a long way to dive. The cooldown's going to completely miss. I think they'll back off here.
The Doom.
No, it gets the Doom, but they won't catch the Keeper of the Light. So in the end, they do get the one kill and the ideal kill as well.
Yeah, I think they were happy just to miss the cooldown on the Keeper of the Light. So yeah, we'll take the Doom instead. Meanwhile, Super now looking to go into mid lane. He's chilling up a stun, doing a lot of damage onto A. Wants to actually go on the Dragonite. Tombstone's still on cooldown, but don't think it's going to matter. Iron Shell Vacuum. Can they bring down A here? QQQ with the Frostbite guarantees the kill. Needs to be careful. Sven stun on 3. Great turnaround coming out from XDD there. Only kills a Crystal Maiden, but still.
Meanwhile, the courier just flew into the thick of it. Got picked off. I didn't even see it go in mid, but yep, just checking where the courier died. Well, it appears that, well, that's the dire courier, but it appears that Radiant courier did in fact die. In the middle lane, did it have anything on it is the question. Well, doesn't, ooh, Magic Wand recipe, no big deal.
Okay, nothing too sort of game-changing there. Obviously, you don't lose items anymore, but if it's something you want out right now. For RisingStars, I think they just need to be a bit careful about fights like that. They'd kill a Crystal Maiden, but considering they gave away 2 heroes, it's not really ideal for them. And they're giving away these key solo heroes. Kills on the DK, the kill on top at Doom. These are their higher level heroes on their team, which are very valuable pickups for Team DK.
It's still a pretty even game for the time being, but Doom is maxing Devour. And that's where Xiaotuji, if this stays pretty passive, Super doesn't have any points in Greevil's Greed, so just from a farming and just raw gold in, gold out aspect, DK will start to fall behind a little bit. Also, RisingStars, they have the better lineup for jungling across the board. Sure, you've got Darkseer on one team, but then you look at some of RisingStars' supports. Visage, a fantastic jungler. Keeper of the Light, fantastic lane farmer and jungler. So I feel like RisingStars, maybe they can start to pull ahead or at least catch up a bit in terms of the golden experience here.
The main issue is once Super gets up his Shadowblade, if they're for RisingStars to catch up, they have to be sort of split farming, which is so risky against a Shadowblade Alchemist. He'll find pickups all over the map.
He's for Xiaotuji. Oh, he doesn't pick up the rune. He just tries to run. The Doom goes off onto Super, but he'll just hoof it out of there. Now Die in trouble. The mech, is it going to be enough? Doesn't look like it. Too much AoE, too much burst from RisingStars. They are just blowing DK up. Now Super on the run as well. The Doom's going to be wearing off soon. He'll pop the wand. He's got the haste room bottled. He will be able to get out in the nick of time, but QQQ won't be so lucky. Oh no, this is your Crystal Maiden's downside. Great in the laning stage.
XDD in the river. He's going to get brought down by a cooldown as well. Super just turned around as soon as the Doom wore off. He's like, okay, I got ultimate stun. This is great.
Here comes Air. They want to fight this a little bit more. In the end, it was a 3-for-1 favoring RisingStars, so they come out pretty far ahead. They did use Doom, but hey, they'll be very happy with that. And that's with Xiaotuji not picking up the haste rune, but just running away directly.
Yeah, Xiaotuji didn't pick up the haste rune. Super got it while doomed and actually stunned himself, almost goes down. But RisingStars make the most of it. And this is really sort of what I mentioned earlier with the Keeper of the Light, Illuminate, Visage, Soul Assumption. Their mid-game team fight's really scary if they sort of in a good position, if they're not getting focused down one by one. If Alchemist can't initiate with a stun, suddenly DK's team fight is not all that impressive.
Well, let's see if they continue to find the initiation. Like you mentioned, Shadowblade is coming, but you pop some Sentry Wards in the lane. Alchemist can't really just run in when you rush the Shadowblade. Yeah. You're not that tanky. Your armor's still going to be pretty low. You're fairly squishy compared to what you could be if you're rushing something like an Assault Crest. So RisingStars, they'll group up to defend this top tower. Super, just leading the way here, trying desperately to farm his Shadow Blade. But for the time being, RisingStars may be worried about a smoke gank. Just 5 here sitting at the tower. They'll go in now with the stun. Maybe looking to get aggressive. The familiars will follow up. Super dropping fast. He will go down, but Burning hits everyone with the call down, with the flak. Might be too much AoE. He's not done yet. He wants some more. 2 heroes bite the dust. Call it 3. Could be 4. Air's on the run. A Surgeon onto QQQ. The little Crystal Maiden that could, and Air's caught out. Will be going down. Crystal Maiden gets mech'd back up when he was about to die. ROTK, the trust, the teamwork. These guys really believing in each other, and it's a team wipe, God.
Yeah, the teamwork, and they get a complete team out there. See him dive the tier 2 tower to get a Frost Nova to finish off the Keeper of the Light there, and then the mech came saving his life. That was a phenomenal team fight. They lose 1 to start things off, but it didn't even matter. They turn it around with such ease, and winning fights like that, getting towers now, they're leading the farm charts so heavily now. The highest CS on the Radiant team is 57 for the DK.
It was pretty much dead even, and then I'm looking at the gold graph, instantly just plummets after that fight.
A lot of RisingStars staying in it was due to like a nice team fight and also the tower they'd gotten, because DK, they were winning on farm, just they hadn't taken any towers yet, they hadn't taken a good team fight, but they finally connected, and once they do, RisingStars, a big drop, and they're falling further behind. They need to get up their mech on the Keeper of the Light. They want to start getting up some BKBs of their own as well, and heroes like Sven, DK. They may want to get a Shadow Blade on the Doom or something, but right now the item deficit is going to start to hurt after 1 fight.
And speaking of BKBs, there's your BKB on Burning, and you look at RisingStars, they don't have that much lockdown. Stormbolt, Dragon Tail, but all of these won't go through BKB. It's not really a super long-range initiation like something like Aurora, and this is where he pops the BKB. Sure, you can doom him and disable his abilities, but you're still not going to be able to bring him down that quickly. It feels like Burning, especially with, say, a Darkseer to surge him, mech him away, might be able to just stand and deliver throughout these fights, and that's not something RisingStars want to have to deal with.
Not by any means here. They're just looking, at the moment, they just want to avoid DK, even without some of these future items coming up just yet. Super Shadow Blade slowing down. No, yeah, he doesn't have, I thought something was flying out. Just a DP scroll. So once the Shadow Blade's up, it gets really scary. But RisingStars, they're semi-grouped up at bottom lane without the Dragon Knight, though, and I don't think they want to commit to any T1 tower.
They'll teleport him down now. They're going to group up as 5 RisingStars. They want to take a fight. Will they be able to make something happen here? That's the big question. Yeah. Remember, DK won that last fight without the BKB on Burning, and they'll have access to it now. They still have the tier 1 up bottom lane. There will actually be 2 heroes rotating back, so while they teleport the DK down, then very indecisively they rotate 2 out of the lane. Seems like RisingStars, they're not really sure what to do right now, and I feel a little baffled as well. Their team is somewhat built to just kind of dominate the laning stage and snowball from there. Yeah,
I feel 5-man pushing tower is definitely not the way to play, and they quickly realize it. It's just like, okay, where do we go back to now? Doom goes top to get themselves some farm. They've got 1 hero mid, Visage getting some farm, and the rest is sort of in the jungle. So they're trying to get items up, but there's not really any insight that are going to be really game-changing for them.
They can sing Hakuna Matata all they want in the jungle gods, but while they're doing that, Burning is singing a little song of his own, stacking the camps up to 2.2k. He's your lead farmer now, 9k net worth. DK, if Gyro gets fat enough, I just don't think RisingStars have a solution for him. Sure, you can doom him, but he's got so much strong defensive support from Darkseer, especially even a hero like Undyne who can soul rip him, heal him back up. Burning has a lot more backup, and it's going to make it hard to blow him up, and if you don't blow him up, he kills everyone. So for RisingStars, kind of a prickly situation right now.
Late game Gyro's not quite as strong as he used to be since the 6.78 nerfs.
That is true.
The flat cannon cooldown much bigger, which is, I guess, somewhat... It hurts quite a bit as far as if you're having a long drawn-out fight. You want to use that flat cannon multiple times, so having to wait 30 seconds is quite a big deal, I'd say.
The other big thing is it does slow down your farm rate because you have to wait a full minute just to get off 2 flat cannons. Normally you could get off 3 in a minute in the old version, and that means, well, you could jungle a little bit more efficiently and quickly. They'll push bottom lane, though, in spite of that. Burning does have a Demon Edge, and sure, flat cannon's got a longer cooldown, but if you hit 6 big flat cannons with something like an MKB, that may be all the damage you need. So we'll find out exactly how much the nerf matters as this game progresses. But for the time being, Burning, your lead farmer, they'll take the tier 1 bottom. Radiant structures were fortified, did not matter, and they're going to defend this top tower. Surgeon from the Darkseer, RTK, looking for an opening. Can he get in range? It doesn't look like it, but they take a tier 1 and they don't give one up.
Yeah, they committed. They do take a tier 1 and don't give one up. They did sort of stack some TPs. They're really looking to take a fight. I guess they can say, okay, we bring 5 top with all these TPs and don't get any kills. Let's just go for this tier 2 tower push because they've got their BKB on Gyro. They're now going to be flying out the next item, the Alchemist Shadow Blade. So with these items, they either go for a tower push, they go for a gank. They're going to actually smoke up with 4 heroes. So it looks like they are going for a bit of a gank into probably a tower push.
Frankly, a pretty late Shadow Blade for Super. Considering the start he had mid, those deaths did slow him down. And well,
he bought back that one time in that team wipe they got, he bought back for us. So.
Right. Well, we'll see DK. They're smoked up. They're going to head towards the Radiant Tier 2 top. Looks like if they can get a backstab here, should be an easy tower take. Burning, or Super rather, lurking in the lane. Shadowblade on the way, hasn't been delivered yet. The lead with Burning here, not really the best initiator. Actually, it looks like Crystal Maiden should be in the front lines. It'll be QQQ. Surged in, looks to go. XDD in a world of trouble. Where's that Stormbolt? He's trying to find a multiple hero Stormbolt. He'll unleash it. He will catch 2, but it won't matter. He still gets exploded. And now DK taking a Tier 2 top. Probably won't even give up their Tier 1 bottom. They are getting much better trades right now.
Yeah, won't matter in the slightest that the multiple hero stun comes out, and this is, I don't even think you can call it a trade at this point. DK just taking and not giving anything in return.
This is just raping and pillaging and leaving nothing left, and then sowing some salt in the land for good measure. DK, they'll defend that Tier 1 bottom, and, well, I feel like they're at that point, Gods, where they have the BKB on Burning. He's now working towards an MKB. You already have your mech up. I think they can go Roche, and I don't really think RisingStars can do much to contest that.
They would not want to contest it. That would not end well for them. I feel.
So that may be the next objective on the list for Team DK. We'll see if that's what it comes to. But
there's still a lot of towers up. Like they haven't even taken this T1 mid tower. DK haven't got the best pushing lineup, which is partly why it's been a slow time for them to push towers. The one time they push towers is like when they go a smoke wraparound. They're bad at just grouping up as 5 and pushing. They're like a gank then push type of team. At the same time, Roshan you can do whenever, which could maybe come even before this T1 mid tower.
Well, RTK, he'll rotate towards the Ancients. They have a nice little stack here for Burning, and I imagine he'll be doing some of the tanking. Super, maybe he'll be the one to farm it. Does have access to the acid spray, but when Burning gets the stack, that's his MKB, and I think for DK, that's your big go time. That's where you start sieging the towers. If you want to take Roche first, fine. Otherwise, you just start taking team fights. And RisingStars, well, we'll have to see if they can weather the storm. Maybe they try and dodge the fight. They are progressing their items a little bit. Mofi's picked up a 4-staff. You mentioned the BKBs. They're on the way. The question is, will they be there in time? Sven with an Ogre Club looks like nothing for him on the Courier just yet. And we look at the DK, Ogre Club for him. Has enough for the Mithril Hammer. Doom, the one that's closest with Devour Gold helping out. So if they have another 4 or 5 minutes, they get triple BKB. That'll help a lot against the backline supports of DK. But it doesn't really help you against Burning.
No, it's not. Burning going to be doing plenty of damage with this MKB now up. And the other thing is, for me, with DK, they're getting themselves an H, they're getting all this tower gold, they're just getting more and more map control, because the limited observer wards now, the 6.78 changes, is just being punished by ROTK, who does have this new gem.
Well, it is a new and expensive gem as well. And remember, if you drop the gem, it can't be denied. It'll sit there on the ground until somebody picks it up. But for the time being, having a gem is a huge boon, and that's not something RisingStars can really afford right now. Maybe Mofi could buy one, but I feel like this Visage will just easily die as collateral damage in the team fights to Flat Cannon.
The supports for RisingStars have actually done well. This is where you can tell they're not getting completely destroyed here, even though the gold graph is looking around the 7 to 8k mark. When your supports at 22 minutes, one has a mech, the other has a 4-star, normally that means the game's going well. Problem is, it's the carry heroes and the core heroes who don't have BKBs. They don't have any items at all, which is really where RisingStars just haven't found the farm.
So, Gods, let me ask you now, DK, well, they'll rotate towards the Roche pit. I was about to ask, do you think they can just take this late, or are they playing too passively? But they're going to Roche. They have a plate mail up an Alchemist, so they do have the 2 cores who probably can get the fattest this game. Gyro, as well as Alchemist, are just going to out-farm heroes like Doom. Devour's got a lot of cooldown compared to Greevil's Greed, which has no cooldown as a passive. And Gyro, probably a better flash farmer until DK gets... I mean, even at level 16, it's not going to matter. He's already got the splash, but still behind. So how do you feel about DK? Is this a timing window for them? Do they have to make something happen now, or can they just sit back, farm, and take fights when they feel like it?
It's not really... to me, the window is just wide open for the rest of the game. They can take the game now. They can take a late game. This is not, to me, any issue at all. I think they'll look to start applying some more pressure, go for another smoke game. The one thing which isn't going to end too well for them is if they group up as 5 and try push, because that's where they have a Keeper of Light illuminate in their face. That's where they have a Breath of Fire in their face, and they'll quickly find out 5-man pushing is not really their strong suit, but they can do anything else apart from that. It can be aggressive, it can be passive farming.
Well,
we'll find out soon.
If it's passive farming they want, they've got some of the best in the business to do it with. Burning now up to another 1,500 gold. The heroes, the players, these guys know how to farm. 165 CS on Burning, around 6 or 7 a minute, and well, I guess this is where you look towards your Helm of the Dominator, your Satanic. You get that up, even if you get doomed. I mean, good luck actually killing the guy.
Yeah, I think that's a good point here. He's got 1,300 HP. He wants something to actually help him become a bit tankier, just because one Doom could spell his death, but...
Could spell his Doom.
I was about to say that, but I was like, no, that's
that's too cheesy.
We're not doing that.
I went there.
I'll leave you for the
I'll
puns.
be remonstrated after this broadcast, guys, but totally worth it, let me tell you.
It's late here.
Yeah,
I forgive you.
It's late, it's early, call it what you will. Shout to G. BKB up on him, and well, for Rising Stars, we just had you pick a lineup that has a Doom as a safe lane farmer, a Dragon Knight as your solo mid, and a really aggressive killing tri-lane. This is the point in the game where you want to be map controlling them, ganking them with maybe a Shadow Blade on the Doom, really just picking them off and starving them, but it's completely not the game they had in mind.
I'm surprised Doom actually went for a BKB as well. I think Sven, Dragon Knight, BKB is the go-to item. For Doom, I feel he needed something like a Shadow Blade to actually get them some key initiations and pickoffs, because apart from him, they don't really have a good way to start off a fight.
And, well, the Blinding Light won't be effective here. MKB, a fantastic item for a pushing carry, or for a carry that wants to push, I should say. Not going to be affected by that mischance. And
Amelia's
getting sniped off. Burning, nice work. Didn't even need the flat cannon for it. He'll have it now. He's still not using it. He's been a little more stringent and conservative with when he applies it. And, well, maybe that's the nerf at play.
Unless, I mean, you could maybe put it while you're attacking the tower to hit all the heroes behind, but even then, it's something you want to generally save as long as.
In the past, you would always just, every time it's off cooldown, you see a hero near the tower, you press your flat cannon hotkey and you just start chipping away.
Well, right now, he's holding out. We are going to see an attempt initiation from the Dragon Knight. Really long range summon ROTK, but there's the BKB from Bernie. He's just going straight onto Zhao Tuji. He pops the BKB a bit later than he maybe should have, but he's going to be just fine. Both teams retreat back to farming.
And then in the end, RTK gets denied by Burning. He was doomed. He was going to go down, so Doom denied a little bit of golden experience, but hey, they force a death on the Darkseer. That's something to be happy about. And looking at RTK, picked up a Force Staff. A lot of AoE on Rising Stars, a lot of magical damage. Might be a game where you want to think about a pipe for your team.
Yeah. DK, there we go. First BKB, well, second BKB is up. Doom has his, but I'm more talking about Sven also has his. So Sven and DK with BKBs. QQQ at top lane. Another long range stun. Centaur Storm to follow it up. QQQ going to go down to a solo assumption. Actually, Sven finished off the kill, and Rising Stars, they've got 5 top. This looks like a tier 1 push coming out from them. Maybe even a follow-up kill. Can they get this on MMY? No, they can't. Tombstone will be brought down, and looks like this tier 1 tower should be the next target for Rising Stars.
While that's happening, Super is applying some pressure to that bottom lane, trying to draw Rising Stars back. The lane will start to push in and chip away at the tier 2, but Rising Stars doing a lot more than chipping. They're just hammering the tower down. They'll beat it into submission. They'll collect the gold, and they'll get the hell out. And now we look at their item progression. They've got the triple BKB, plate mail up on Xiaotuji. I imagine either the Shiva's, well, obviously the Shiva's Guard or Sakura's, either one a viable choice here, but where do they go next for their team? They've taken this tier 1. They had a decent fight mid. What's the game plan for Rising Stars?
I think Doom's going to be picking up a plate mail, so just going for more tanky. They need a better initiation, which to me needs a Shadow Blade. Either Dragon Knight or Doom needs a Shadow Blade. It's either I think Dragon Knight's almost better on because it's a stun initiation rather than a Doom initiation, because that's not always a guaranteed kill. They can get 4 staffed away and just survive. So I think DK, you go for something like the Shadow Blade just because of how key starting off the fight with a stun is, and they don't have any way of doing that. Sven, it's not an instant stun.
Well, while that was happening, Super, he's not getting a plate mail. He's completing an Assault Cuirass, and his net worth similar to the Doom's. The big difference is Super, he didn't go BKB. He went straight for the AC, and that's going to be a higher impact item in these team fights as long as he doesn't get blown up, which we'll see if is the case. If he doesn't get off his Chemical Rage, he is quite squishy, even with the plate mail, but he gets it off, he's pretty hard to kill. So DK smoked up. They'll look to just push this bottom lane, and Reaver now picked up for Burning. Just wants to live through the initial onslaught, and then he feels after that, I will win the fight in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Another actually interesting little change that actually happened. Doom, you can now go Accept. Well, you could always go Accept, but Accept or Doom got really powerful.
It's kind of insane, actually. So for anyone who's not familiar with the change, Aghanim's Doom Scepter, Doom doesn't tick down if Doom is within a certain, I think it's 500 AoE of you, something like that. So basically, if he's running alongside you, the Doom doesn't stop. It doesn't tick down.
Yeah.
It just keeps on going. And that means you could be doomed for the entire fight if Doom can stand there long enough to deal with it. Now, will he be able to when Burning's really farmed? Hard to say, but in theory, interesting little pickup for him. I don't know if we'll see it this game, but more something to keep in your back pocket for the future, since Rising Stars, Rattlesnakes are picking quite a bit of Doom.
Doom to me is a hero which we'll be seeing quite a bit of over the next coming months. I mean, it's already seen quite a lot of play, although I think teams are currently figuring out how the best way is to lane him, which is the hard way to do things. As for DK, well, they haven't used Aegis here, which it looks like they're not going to be able to do so before it respawns. So are we back to farming LD? Are we back to looking to sort of siege? Or I mean, for DK, it's hard to push high ground, especially when this Aegis expires.
It's where Burning needs the Satanic and the Aegis, I feel. I mean, you have that extra life from the BKB to some extent. You have the extra life from Satanic, and then you throw an Aegis on top of it, icing on the cake. That's where I feel they can look to push the base, but until he's got those items, sure, you can give him Aegis, but if he blows his BKB, he dies once. He comes back, he's just going to die again, so we'll see. But yeah, I think this is maybe where DK need to cool down, calm themselves, and collect themselves, and just start farming some really big late-game items. RisingStars team, for the most part, gods, does feel like they're predicated on burst damage and quick pickoffs in the team fight. A lot of stuns, a lot of just high-power nukes. If you can live through that high-octane offense, I think DK does win in the long haul. Heroes like Sven, when Warcry wears off, when the BKB wears off, isn't going to do as much as the Gyro.
Yeah, Sven to me is the one X factor for this RisingStars team. Oh, bottom lanes, Al2G forced a BKB out of the Alchemist Unstable Concoction. Now going to run away. These BKB charts even more valuable than in the past because it now goes down to 4 seconds.
Triple BKB, well, that's going to be 3 4-second BKBs. If the game goes long enough, but for the time being, they're still pretty healthy. DK, the group up, they'll look to fight bottom, and we do see a Helm of the Dominator for Burning, so getting closer and closer to Satanic. And I like the fact he's not saving for buyback. Occasionally you would see that in the past, but this is a game where Burning needs the Satanic. If he saves for buyback, so what? The team's going to lose the fight anyway, and well, then it's not going to matter if he does end up getting picked off. So I like this choice from him, and Satanic coming soon.
It's as much almost about the raw HP, just because of you need the actual HP to survive a Doom here. Which Burning, he'll survive it, and then Satanic, pop it on, you regain all that life. I don't even think he's going to be doing much more at this point. I think more likely if you can get it on someone like the Darkseer before the fight breaks out. Even Alchemist, those unstable concoctions, causing a lot of problems.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe RisingStars goes for the Chain Stun, but it's where, as you pointed out, they don't really have a great, reliable initiation against the BKB carry. Dragon 2.
Doom's doing it. He's got Point Booster.
Aghanim Scepter for Shao-Tuji in the offing.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it also does improve the
damage by a lot.
Yeah.
It goes from 70 damage at level 3 to 110 damage per second.
That's a lot of damage.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see how long he can live in the team fights. I'm still not sold on the build. It does make you tankier, but
yeah.
End of the day, if Burning is just focusing you with flat cannon or just with auto attacks, I feel Doom may explode regardless. But we'll see. Interesting build, and excited to see the new patch really strutting its stuff here today.
Yeah, well, I guess there's no other majorly changed here. Or Crystal Maiden, as we've seen, get picked up here by DK, just with some stat/numbers changes. There we go. Burning's got his Satanic, so I guess for now, DK, they want to wait out the next Roshan. They also get a BKB on Alchemist, so they're almost ready to actually take the fight and go for a push. The one item which they may be missing is going to be the pipe on the Undying, but I don't think they're too worried about waiting for that.
You know, Guts, the one scary thing for DK as this game goes later and later, Undying as well as Crystal Maiden, amazing laning supports, very strong even in the early to mid game, but you go late game, these heroes don't do hardly anything for you. Crystal Maiden is just going to get blown up by a triple BKB lineup, won't be doing a damn thing with Freezing Field, and a hero like Undying, the zombies aren't going to do much against, you know, just the Tombstone will die very quickly.
Yeah. The Sven is getting pretty big here. He's got his BKB Mask of Madness. Next item you can only imagine is going to be the Daedalus. Of course, all these items slowed down by the fact he went for the treads and the drums, but if he can get up that Daedalus in, let's say, 10 minutes time without RisingStars losing tons of fights in that time, I think RisingStars suddenly have an actual chance in this game.
Well, it felt like they were on the back foot. Never really felt like they were fully out of it. They do trail by 10,000 gold, 6 or 4,000 experience, which isn't that much, but the 10k gold's a big difference. They get the Shadow Blade now in Aaron. The items they're picking up are relatively cheap items that can have a big punch. Items like BKB, items like Shadow Blade. You get that initiating stun off, maybe, just maybe, you can blow somebody up. But if they give away this Aegis to Burning, could get a lot harder. Super's in the pit, as you mentioned. BKB available for him, and RisingStars going to strut down mid, looking to push this lane out and contest this Roshan. But can they do it? This is going to be one of the toughest Rosh fights you'll ever see. You're up against Vacuum, Wall, Call Down, Flat Cannon, and oh, by the way, a very farm Gyro.
Illuminate Illuminate almost stole Roshan. That was almost perfectly timed, but RisingStars quickly realized they can't really do any aggressive fights there. It's just so risky. And one lost fight at Roshan and they lose the game, basically. If they lose 3-4 heroes and don't get Roshan, it's game over. So I think it's slightly smarter not to take any risky fights there. Just back off and just go for those next couple items. I love the Shadow Blade pickup for DK. Even though there's a gem on the Darkseer, it's still such a great item.
It gives you the move speed as well, and the unit walking, which in some cases just is what you need to getting close and secure an initiation. 3k gold up and Burning. I imagine we'll be working towards something like a butterfly now for him, and I mean, whatever he goes for, he will be hitting like a truck once that next item comes up. And End of the day, even if Keeper Light snipes that Roshan, it's a little bit of gold into RisingStars' pockets, but the big objective for DK, they don't really need gold because Crystal Maiden Undying don't make that great use of it, and their carries are getting plenty of it anyway. It's much more about the Aegis. They do have that on Burning now regardless.
And the Aghanim's Doom is up. I'm excited to see this. This is new.
Duration does not count down if an enemy is within 550 range of Doom. So I actually remembered my patch notes for once. There were so many, guys. I'm honestly terrified to even talk about it because I feel like we're missing a lot. We're probably forgetting a lot. We're probably getting some of them wrong. But in this case, at least, well, we were right there. So RisingStars, they'll push in the middle lane. Illuminate going to clear out the creep wave. It's QQQ. He'll rotate in as well. And DK grouping up a bit mid, but they don't have Burning yet. So until we see Burning join the fray, they're not really looking to fight.
Yeah, he's up at top lane. Actually, Dragon Knight there farming. Dragon Knight, I'm sure he probably got like some plus armor this patch. Icefrog loves to just give Dragon Knight like an extra armor. Every now and then it's like, oh, DK gets an extra +1 armor. Same for Doom. Like Doom, the joke was always, oh, Doom is too much armor because he just gets these random +1 armor buffs. But
because that's what DK really needs. He needs more armor. That's the weakness of this hero.
Yeah, I don't think you need to give him higher base armor when he has a spell which gives him +12 armor. But
it's all right.
It's always the ongoing thing to try and make melee heroes stronger is just give them more armor.
Well, we'll see an initiation here. They're going to fight without Burning, but they do catch out XDD. Look at Super going to work. The secondary DPS for this team doesn't feel so secondary right now. They'll pick him off, and now they look to break the base, and the question is, does Sven have buyback? He does, and he has BKB, but if he buys back now, guys, that means there's not a Daedalus in sight.
He may have to. Like,
he probably will.
It's just like he doesn't want it, but he's gonna need to. Zaltuji, who's the target for the Doom? I'm curious to see. To me, yeah, Darkseer. Burning's got the Aegis, which makes him.
I think it is the Darkseer, like you said.
Alchemist is an okay target.
Okay, actually get Monolith. I think they're thinking about pushing back in, but Blinding Light, well, not being used just yet. And for the time being, they'll continue to siege away this middle lane. Burning will look to go high ground. He's in the front lines. That's a Stormbolt that connects onto a Blinding Light that pushes them in further. Beautiful initiation. Now Super caught in a pretty bad position, but Burning's manning up. Nobody being focused. Pop the Doom already. Xiaotuji will finally get it off, but it's on Super already in Chemical Rage. The wall got off there, as well as the vacuum. Burning finds a kill, and they're going to continue to siege on this tower. Felt like he just was too hesitant to pull the trigger. RTK blows every single spell, and now they look to break the base.
Now they look to break the Doom, unfortunately, as you mentioned, how do you actually stay close when you're using that Doom? When you're playing from behind, it's just not possible. He couldn't do it. Super, he's already back almost to full HP. He can pop his Chemical Rage and be just A-okay. And now we're seeing the Raxus being broken.
Black Cannon has got a long cooldown, but it does cool down now, and the fight's going to pop out again. Everybody gets vacuumed together. Burning looks to man up. He gets force-stepped 2 times away from the Sven who was trying to attack him. Burning's still alive. Pops the Satanic. Goes to work. Xiaotuji on the run. Air on the run. They're both going to blow up, and DK overwhelming the defenses of RisingStars. Looks like game 1 could be booked any second now. Gem hits the deck as well. DK don't care about this Gem. 4 heroes dead for RisingStars. DK in game 1 of today's only best of 3 for the Dota 2 Super League. Off to a hot to trot start. Looks like they'll be taking the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, neat little Doom pick with the new little item here. Not going to be enough. Burning does what Burning does best. 7, 0, and 8. Tons of farm. Leads the net worth, leads the farm, and well, 651 GPM was enough today for him on that Gyrocopter. Ends the game with 7.4k gold.
Yeah, could have gotten a rapier.
No swag
Who needs it? Burning, no YOLO swag cred, but fantastic individual play from him. And Guts, I think the big thing was RisingStars' movement through the laning stage. They seemed a little bit indecisive. They were forced to abandon the tri-lane, and we also saw the weakness of Doom. If you want to run him as a solo, but the enemy team doesn't give you a 1v1 matchup, you can lock him out of the jungle. You can really slow down his level progression, whereas a hero like Darkseer, he'll just go jungle and be very efficient. Yeah,
it really goes to show that, Darkseer gave away first blood, but didn't even matter, really. It gave RisingStars a slightly bigger early game edge than they should have had, or at least sort of kept them closer, but ultimately, RisingStars, while they had one of the strongest tri-lanes out there, it was a tri-lane which immediately fell apart, not because they were losing it, but because they felt they had to rotate the supports, and they have really bad supports for rotating on the map. They didn't have a solo mid. GK's sort of passive. He has to sit there, get levels, get farm. He can't really rotate around the map like we saw Alchemist do. Alchemist was and the other thing is, Alchemist is getting the room. DK can rotate around if he's getting haste runes, invis runes, but DK made sure they had rune control.
They got a little bit lucky with a lot of the runes spawning bottom where their tri-lane was parked. Easier to control those, but even so, Alchemist is also just a bit better at rune control. Acid Spray does a better job of pushing in the lane than something like Breathe Fire. Breathe Fire, you really rely on the Bottle Crow, and I think we saw the tweaks to bottle crowing, making DK not quite as strong of a mid as he used to be.
Yeah, and I think it's on that mention as far as controlling the runes. Like they have the supports looking at the bottom rune, and Alchemist he goes top before it even spawns. So if it spawns top, Alchemist is there before the DK is. If it's bottom, the support's protected.
And if DK goes for the rune, he's missing creeps under the tower.
Yeah.
So he falls further and further behind.
It was just overall the strategy meant that Dragon Knight was stuck mid. Alchemist could rotate around the map. The CM Undying's a bit of support roaming duo, and well, RisingStars didn't have any answer. To me, they just had to stick with the offensive tri-lane. Doom needed to find a better way of getting into the jungle, but...
I liked what RTK did, though, because RTK, he really rotated away from the lane. He went all the way to the small camp, and he didn't really come back to the lane, at least not near the tower, until he saw that Heroes had abandoned it. Once Keeper of the Light TP'd bottom, that's where RTK started taking the farm, taking the experience, and being more aggressive in the lane. And we saw one of the weaknesses of a Sven tri-lane, which is you can't really leave the Sven alone in like 99% of cases. If you do, well, he just gets zoned out of lane. He won't stop Darkseer from farming, pulling ahead.
And it was a big weakness of the RisingStars draft overall, that Sven was the hero that kept everything together, set up kills, won them the early game, got them into the mid game, started fights. When he was forced as an offlane against Darkseer, everything fell apart from there.
Well, DK, guys, they will take game 1, but of course, it's a best of 3. We'll be coming back soon. RisingStars, they'll need to take game 2, or they will drop to 1-1 in the group. It's the Dota 2 Super League. It rages on here today. Group A already in the books, but Group B not yet even close to being settled. I'm LD, he's Gods. We'll be right back.